As soon as you say the word ballet, you imagine tutus, tiptoes, and actually that's the one thing they don't do.
Your line of life brings out very beautiful aspects like arts, like hidden matter at the Kunstmuseum Basel.
I have the Kunstmuseum, the most beautiful canvas I could be given. Actually, I find Basel to be a city of dreams.
This is Basel, der Podcast. In this episode, Katja talks to Permi Jhooti, a video and digital artist in Basel.
Hi, dear listeners of the podcast, this is Basel. This is our very first English edition. So good to have you with us. For our very first edition, we met an ex-female profi footballer. She is not only a very sportive person, but also a doctor in IT engineering and an audio and visual artist. Let's just listen to it. Have fun. Hi, dear Permi.
Hello.
It is great and wonderful to have you as my podcast guest just a few days before the premiere of your latest piece, Hidden Matter, at the Kunstmuseum Basel. You still find moments to breathe and having breaks like this one before another dream of yours becomes true? Here in one of your favorite places, the restaurant Martinelli.
Yes, this is one of my favourite places, and you're one of my favourite people. And it is a few days before premiere, so it is a lovely day. I'm really happy to speak today.
And you're finding like these islands, these peace islands to step out? You're not spending the whole time at the Kunstmuseum? Obviously not.
I spent a lot of time at the Kunstmuseum. I spent a lot of time speaking with art historians. It was really a learning process at the beginning. I've spent a lot of time where I've lived behind 4 computers. And now it's really coming to the... It's very intense, but now the workload is being done by my computers. So I am intensely there for 2 or 3 hours. I'm directing them somehow. It's a big computer job now. So I have some little pockets of breathing time.
We're really glad you're taking this time out with us now, Permi. Would you mind us telling briefly how you ended up in Basel as a well-known multimedia artist now, these days, and a doctor in IT right now, and you're fulfilling one of your dreams, being part of, for example, an amazing collaboration between you, the Kunstmuseum Basel, and the Ballet of the Theater Basel. That's quite a trip.
Actually, I find Basel to be a city of dreams. Living here has enabled me to live dreams I didn't even have as a child. They were so beyond my world. You dream within the realms of your world, and you step out a little bit. Basel has given me dreams I can't even believe half the time what I get to do here myself.
So, would you say Basel was obviously the nourishing ground to develop your own dreams? So how did your dreams change when you arrived in Basel? What happened, to be honest, or in fact, to make you develop these dreams?
I mean, I was scared when I first moved to Basel because of my journey through life. Where I grew up in the north of England, you're told that you're not from the country. But I also wasn't from India. And then I spent the next part of my life in London, and I think that's really where I somehow came out of my shell and developed a voice. And so then moving to Basel, I was really nervous. I wasn't sure. Do I lose my voice again? I'm going to a foreign country. Will there be racism against me? How are people going to treat me? I only came for 2 years. My husband had a job here, and I could carry on my research. And I actually wanted many times to go back to London. And I think life changed. Life changed, actually, the first time I saw the ballet.
Could you please tell us a little bit more about that very special evening? Because obviously it was one ballet show you just saw at the Theater Basel.
It was pivotal. I was doing very well in my research. I was internationally respected. I was on my way somehow in a career. And one evening, my husband took me to the ballet. It was a charity performance. And Richard Worlock was speaking. And it was amazing. And I thought, this thing that he's speaking about, I need to see what this is. And then I saw the first pas de deux, and the emotion and the energy and the passion. And I thought, I know that. I remember that feeling. And somehow that's gone. I had it in football, of course.
That was my next question. Probably it reminded you a little bit about the ballet and dancing with the ball, with the football.
But even it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can get that feeling from anything. It was that feeling. And I thought this feeling, this all-in feeling, I remember that, I've lost it, I need to find this again. I didn't think I would have anything to do with dance. That wasn't the plan.
It was the feeling.
The plan was the feeling.
Was it freedom? Was it the beauty of this, like Richard Worlock, we all know, has really the ability to produce shows like ballet productions, like very little persons in the world are able to.
Yes, but again, it's not the activity you engage in. It's the thing that you do where when you're doing it, you are so alive because that's you. It's about seeing yourself. It's about existing as you were meant to exist in that moment, I think. So it can be anything.
Right, you lost it. What made you lose that? Because you're very much into that activity part or on that side right now. Maybe you didn't, I don't know, what made you lose it?
I think because we have to keep, something might give you what you need at a moment in time. So whatever I was doing was giving it to me. But then it's this ongoing loop. You're getting what you need, you grow, you need new things, and you have to keep checking back in with yourself. So sometimes people had said to me, I mean, if you look back over my career, I've done many things, and people can think I've gone from one extreme to another. But I never did. It was, for me, it was a clear line. I exhausted where I was at, and the things that where I was at, what it couldn't give me, it was time to find those. I was always just on one path of growth.
Right, so changing the path you were on was always like interrupted or just paused, but it was not a total switch. It was like, okay, I'm exhausted.
I'm not exhausted. I have exhausted the possibilities from where I'm at for it to give me what I need for fulfillment.
So people, if they look back at your life, and you do as well, for you it is one line, but it's a very rich line and a very rich path. People could have the idea that, wow, how does she bring all that together? Does everything you do, because I'm still stuck a little bit with this emotion, this very special emotion you had and you lost it on the way, kind of. But it's still very passionate and intense what you do. We'll be talking about what you do actually for the moment. So what make you go or decide, or what makes you decide for one way then, or for one direction on your path?
I think there are opportunities everywhere. I think everything that we need is here. And what blocks us is that we don't know what we want. And when you are so clear with your being, what you want, then that thing knows to come in.
Exactly. Yeah, but you have to be able to see it. Obviously, you do kind of know what you want. What do you want, Permi?
I want to feel.
And have this emotion. Are you still on the search of this very special emotion you had? Or?
No, I'm living it now.
Wow.
I'm living it now. And now I've always been conscious of it. And I always felt that somehow I'm free of the external world. I'm a freelance worker. I get to choose who I work with, what I do. And I felt that actually the only thing that ever holds me back is the same thing that holds many people back, is myself. So I spent a lot of time really thinking about, why do I do the things that I do? Whenever I have this immediate reaction, somebody asks you about going somewhere, doing something, your opinion. And as soon as I have this immediate reaction, I would think, I didn't even think, it came out. Where did that come from? And then when I go back and look, it's not even my opinion. It's something maybe I was taught when I was growing up. It's maybe, and worst is when I realize I never used to be like this. But I never had this opinion, and then some tiny thing happened, and then I changed my opinion. So I've really been spending a lot of time just listening to myself. And so I just have a feeling. You'll be talking to somebody, and I just feel that I'm excited about it. And I don't go out looking, because if I look, then I'm blinkered, then I'm focused. And it sounds silly, but I just do think that when you can feel your own energy and what you need, you project it. And just like-minded people, they can sense that with you, and things happen.
Mm-hmm. Things happen, and once you had a break during your research works, you just kind of went out and organized or bought yourself a kinetic camera. That was kind of a very special moment, and maybe direction setter for the next path.
It was, because I think sometimes people, especially in Switzerland, because I arrived in Switzerland as a different person. Or
than you are now?
No, as a more adult person than I was in England. And so they see a lot of confidence and independence, but there's always the flip side of that. So I was always artistic and creative growing up. I grew up in a world of rules. So I was always held back. If you give me a canvas, I don't know what to do, because what's the correct colour? What's the correct thing? And then having this camera, I am so comfortable in a world of rules and logic and programming. I was presented with data from this camera, and for me that was just possibility. And I start with something which is true. I have data points, and it just liberated me. I could do anything. I can throw maths at this data. I can do anything. It's true. So somehow this rules-based upbringing, this correctness.
Yeah, this patterns kind of. Yeah.
And I was so held back, and then it completely liberated my thinking.
You experimented quite a bit with that camera. You did not only the current project like Hidden Matter, which is premiering very soon, just in a few days, but you tried out hours and weeks and even years by now, and you had beautiful productions done by that as well. What do you think? Why do people get fascinating by what you do? Because it's a multimedia art, but it's even more. It's much more because you're programming the whole thing on your own. It's just...
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because it's very digital. And I strip away... I think what somehow I can do with that is strip away many of the things that you would look at. If you're looking at a person, all of your facial body qualities, I don't know if you're male or female. I don't know anything about you, and so you're stripped down actually to movement. But I think that's more liberating. So I have when people see themselves with this camera, if you project a video of me on a big screen, I'm going to shrink. I'm going to look at myself and tell you all of the things which are wrong with me. And somehow by projecting this form up on the screen, it's like when you put a silly costume on or a wig, where you somehow can be more you, because you feel that, well, that's me, but I have an excuse. And I just found that in front of the camera, people would move. And they would be fascinated by themselves.
I can tell. I tried it out once as well. Or not only once, but yeah, it is.
You were dancing around my studio one time. Yes, I remember. Yeah.
People are liberated, you say, and people don't have to cover or correct something they always thought, it's not right, something is wrong with me here, I have too many whatever wrinkles or whatever, or pounds. It's a beautiful aspect. So you reduce the whole thing kind of just the movement. And movement.
It's the feeling. It's the emotion.
Again.
So when I made that first video, which you also featured in, my mother is boxing in that video. When you're boxing or when you're dancing or when you're doing anything, so if I dance, I am a dancer. But if you look at me, I'm not a dancer. But if you look at me inside, I'm a dancer. And what I loved about that video, when people would watch it, and then I would say, my 70-year-old mother was boxing. And then they would watch it again. And then they would eventually spot her. But when I hadn't told them, the first time they looked at that video, when they saw her, they saw a boxer.
Right. And this element, all these projections of this, or with this kinetic, or in front of this kinetic camera, is a very important element of Hidden Matter as well. Yes. At the Kunstmuseum. But you evolved as well in that art, and probably you used and tried to find out what else could I do. Hidden Matter is premiering on the 9th of September. What would you say? Where are you at with your... Let's talk just about your art, and then we'll talk about the whole thing. Hidden Matter. What do you think has changed from the beginning, like with using or while using your camera, and with the results these days for that special production?
It's been really an amazing experience. I was so overwhelmed at the beginning. It was an El Greco Picasso exhibition. If you'd have said Picasso is the inspiration, I would have thought, okay, I can take something, I can see some similarities, I know what I'm doing. El Greco, I had no idea. And so I didn't know how I could even begin. So really with all of the talking, the time much more knowledgeable people spent talking to me, explaining things to me, I have developed a new language, but also it's clearly my language. And there has been an evolution. And I can talk you through 45 minutes of video. And I've never made 45 minutes of video. I don't know, I've never known, how do I make a story? How do I evolve something? How do I take the emotions of this artist? And I think I've done it. And I have this new language. It's from El Greco. But also it's mine. And the goal at the beginning was I have to develop something inspired by El Greco. I look at this, I wouldn't have got to this if I wasn't studying El Greco.
Wow, and sitting in front of these pieces and talking about with other people, maybe knowing many more details than we do about El Greco and Picasso.
But the interesting thing was, because I do not come from an art background, I don't know about art history. I don't have the words. Although I aspire to use the word juxtaposition when I'm describing art, because people always talk about, and I love the juxtaposition between this and this, and I don't have that vocabulary. And a pivotal point for me, it was the preview of El Greco. And Daniel Kochakovic, he escorted me around the exhibition. He's a super knowledgeable guy. He was telling me about all of the symbolism, explaining the pictures to me, and we left one room, and he said, you go back inside, spend 15 minutes, and come back and tell me what you see.
Wow.
I went back inside, and I actually didn't make it away from one picture, and I was there for 20 minutes. I had to tear myself away. And from everything that I'd been learning, before I would have said, El Greco looks like a talented painter, not for me. But suddenly I knew what to look at. Suddenly I knew what things meant. And so before, I never looked at El Greco. I might have glanced as I was walking past. And now I was really looking. And this painting was so alive. I'd already decided that because a lot of what El Greco is somehow trying to do, so we have these earthly bodies, we're looking at spirituality, religion, these hidden things in life which are all somehow connected. And how do you represent these? And so I thought, okay, my language is particle, so I'm going to deal with this otherworldly element. But staring at this picture, I see so much life in his cloths. When you look at the robes that people wear, and also because he had his sort of distinct painting style, he doesn't hide from his stroke, these bold brush strokes, the colours that he uses, and just the life forms in these cloths. They're garments for the people, but they have a life of their own. And I couldn't take my eyes off it. There is so much flow in an El Greco painting anyway. When you look at all of these layers, these people looking everywhere, your eyes are darting everywhere on a picture, and I just couldn't take my eyes off the robes. And
that was as well what influenced your language and your point of view, or your looking at El Greco. Did this influence your language finding?
Yes, because everything, actually, it's the life in the cloth. And I start with a cloth, which is, and actually a lot of the turmoil, the calm, whatever, is being reflected in these cloths. I have people wrapped up in them. So for one moment, you have a scene. It took me 2.5 months to do this scene, which made me worried that I would finish anything. So you have a moment where these people, it's a moment where you're looking at your past in life, the things that you impact on, or are you actually free? You have these actions going on and you're somehow just following. It depicts all of this. And then I wrap these people back up again in this cloth. And then it's a lot about reflection in life. So a lot of the dancers that I filmed, you won't even, all of the lighting in my piece, actually it's dancers. You won't know they're dancers, but it's all filmed dance scenes. And it's about these traces of ourselves, these reflections that we have, and always these interactions with these cloths. And at the end, I wrap this cloth back up. It slowly exits the scene. The whole story for me comes from the emotions that I felt looking at the piece. And I thought I could study El Greco for years, and I only have a certain amount of time. I'm not going to become an expert, so what do I feel when I look at it? It was always feelings again. What is it that's giving me life and energy?
You just mentioned it on your own or yourself. Everything is going back to feelings, and emotive is a big subject and a title you gave yourself or your art as well. It's a ballet playing with your art, or being with your art, with the dancing and the whole building of the Kunstmuseum Basel. It's amazing. It's like a fusion of, wow, overwhelming elements in it.
It is so exciting. Whenever I do things like this, it comes to the date and I'm excited, but I'm more nervous. And I'm always thinking, oh, if I had more time, or if I was better, or it's always...
Is old Permi?
Yes, old Permi. I am so excited about this show. I have put my heart and soul into the show. I have never wanted to share something with somebody so much. When you come in, I'm working on it at the moment. I will have a pre-show, and the pre-show is all about dance. I filmed all of the Basel Ballet dancers. It's just dance. Then we have the show. And remember, I project onto the building. We're watching the show on the first floor. You're seeing half a projection. And it's projected into the spaces of the windows. And I've done it, so that's a complete piece. But if you're standing outside, you get so much more outside. There's a show going on outside. And then I will do a post-show where really I'm using, it's again just dance, and it's the whole of the building.
We should maybe not talk that much anymore, because otherwise people will just, like not wanting to see it anymore. But it provoked the contrary on my side, because, there still needs to stay a little surprise in the end, because I'm absolutely crazy to come and see it.
But I think it's all surprise. You just know, I'm just letting you know that when you leave the building, just take a glance back. We have another thing going on. So I think we've impressed ourselves. Both of us cried after I finished the video, because we remember where we were 6 months ago.
Right. And Rochelle Scott is a very important part of the whole thing.
We made an amazing team. And the one thing we said, it's all about the process. We will end up with what we end up. But if the process is not beautiful, we don't even care what we end up with. How we work together, how we support each other, the energy we put in, that is everything.
Wow. And you were given the freedom as well, obviously. You had the freedom to dive into that process.
Actually, it was supposed to be a 20-minute piece with 5 minutes of video. This is all on us. But for me, I think with a 20-minute piece and 5 minutes of video with the Basel Ballet and the Kunstmuseum, it's a wonderful showpiece for me, whatever, for a next step. But I don't think about next steps. I think about now. I have the Kunstmuseum, the most beautiful canvas I could be given. I'm working with the Basel Ballet, the most beautiful tools. I have them now. So I don't care what the original remit might be. I have this moment.
So is it coming close to that very liberating feeling maybe you had now, this state of mind or state of emotion you're in, to what you're longing for?
I am absolutely living all of that. Thank you, Basel.
Yeah, thank you, Permi. You're living, and I can tell, I've been knowing you for many years now. You've been living your dreams, but you're a hard worker as well. And I was asking you, wow, you're finding even time to have breaks just a few days before the premiere. I know you're living your dream and being passionate as well about outgoing, and you're finding beautiful places like this one we're sitting. at the Ente Areal, we still call it like that. It's the ancient train station of the Deutsche Bahn, which was transformed into a huge quarter. And there's, right in the corner, very close to the train station, Badische Bahnhof, a beautiful place like an island called Matten-Elli. Why would you invite us to come here?
It's my most favourite place in Basel. A big topic for me, since I've been here, is this concept of home. So the UK is my home. Basel is my home. But actually, home, it's this feeling that you have inside you. And when I come to Matten-Elli's, everything which is special for me about London and everything which is special about Basel, when I sit here, I think my two worlds are meeting.
Wow. And could you describe them just shortly, both elements? What would you describe your England or London, and what is the description of your Basel? Fusionating or fusioning?
Well, London is, actually Basel, I'll talk about the current. I found my home here, and that's why I will be going for Swiss citizenship, which is super important. The concept of choosing my home. A lot of people don't have to think about choosing your home.
You don't have the privilege to choose it either.
But also you're accepted. You have a home. You grow up with a home. And so I'm British, but I also wasn't accepted as being so. Basel has really special home qualities for me. I find it a very cozy, warm city. I think I can do anything I want to here. I think I can meet and mix with anybody I want to. I really feel a warmth and an openness and possibility. And London, it has a different kind of energy. There's a buzziness in the air.
But it's still quite busy here around Matten-Elli's.
No, well, I did say Matten-Elli combines my two. So it's that kind of, there's a different energy. It's not a personal energy, but it's like this global, anything can happen energy. And so when I'm sitting here, it's like every meal that I eat, I learn something new. I never choose anything on the menu. I get the surprise menu. And I know every single dish that I get, I wouldn't have picked it. Because the ingredients, the combination of ingredients is alien to me. And I'm just the same as anybody else. If I don't know something, I either think I don't like it or I'm scared of it somehow, so it's a no. We all go to what we know. So I love coming here. And I trust them, and I think the surprise menu, and you pick my drinks. And so every course, my mind is opening up somehow, because I just experienced something I wouldn't have experienced otherwise.
While talking, we've just been served by some beautifully arranged dishes as well by Matten-Elli's.
I was hoping they would do that.
They did. They obviously love to surprise not only you with the surprise menus, but as well, or dishes, as well me. You were talking about something very important, feeling home, and the two different homes, seeing and feeling the fusion of your two homes,
yes,
like Basel these days, and London, many years as well. Finding its place in food is something very interesting, because I can rely on that, because I always thought I was homesick when I was abroad, but I was longing for my beloved food.
I can relate to that. I used to have that, and now I cannot remember what those foods were. Because, I'm not missing anything now. I'm enjoying what I do.
You're at home in yourself?
Yes.
But at Matten-Elli's as well?
No, very much so. There's such a wonderful atmosphere. There is a hominess about coming here. And a hominess in, I'm going to be looked after. They're just when you go home to your mum, she knows your favourites. You've been eating the same favourite since you were 10 years old. She makes it, she serves it to you. Here I come, they're going to serve me my favourites, but favourites I didn't even know existed before. But it's that same feeling.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the most beautiful experience you can have, because being or feeling at home, even though you're surprised by new stuff.
It's like the past and the present. It's that past comfort, coziness. You're being looked after. They're giving you just what you need. But your mind keeps opening up. It's old and new habits all at once.
The feeling at home, kind of, in yourself. Permi, you've been describing yourself on a path which, for you, feels like a line, a very rich path, and kind of finding your way to your own home in yourself.
It's my life. I'm just living my life at the end. Our line is our life.
And your line of life brings out very beautiful aspects like arts, like this media art, a piece of art like Hidden Matter at the Kunstmuseum Basel, but many other exhibitions. Look, Madame Ellie even brings you a beer out of her own brewery.
It's home. I said it's home.
Brings out a lot of beautiful fruits, like this latest piece we'll be able to watch and enjoy. Let me just bring our listeners of our podcast, This is Basel, a little bit back to Basel, just Basel, and you kind of not wrote, but talked a love letter to Basel. What other places, besides Martinelli, of course, would you take your visits if you have them? I know you're having a lot of visits and friends from abroad and showing them around. I very often see you walking around or even driving by bike or with people. Where do you bring your dearest visitors to explain them why you're not going back to England very soon, obviously, and prefer staying in Basel?
Actually, I decided one of my most favourite things about Basel is my friend Nelly. So I'm always describing places, but one of my favourite things about Basel is the people. So my nearest and dearest, I like to introduce them to people. And the restaurants I will take them to are because I like the people. Basel is very much about its people. You can't put us all in the Basel tourism guide, I understand. The river, I don't swim. I'm not a swimmer. The river is so much a part of my life. I love the relationship of the people to the river. I cannot believe how much culture we have in this city. So Caserna, obviously the theatre, the dance. It's going to be so sad when Richard Worlock leaves. I think when you look at the programmes that we have here, and they use 3 different stages, the diversity of the dancers, and I hate it when we call them the ballet, actually, because as soon as you say the word ballet, you imagine tutus, tiptoes, and actually that's the one thing they don't do. Or with any of the choreographers. When you think about the types of pieces you've seen, full-on amazing dance, you have funny pieces, more theatrical pieces. We are so lucky. And we get it in one house. So the art that we have, and it's just amazing as well how you can go to a lot of these things for free. That's the most beautiful thing about Basel. Every minute of my day is quality time because it will take me 15 minutes to get anywhere. And that's quality 15 minutes time just for myself and my thoughts. In London, you really have to plan your days. So here, the quality of my time where I can just be doing. I always felt that Basel just lets you live. Nothing is getting in your way. Everything is reliable. You want to go from A to B. You have everything that you need. It just lets you get on with things, I think.
I think I will not point on too many other places because the most beautiful thing to say was you love Basel so much because of all the people you know here and get to know. So the river, for a short summary for our listeners.
There is nothing that Basel has. The only unique thing Basel has that nowhere else has is the people who inhabit Basel. Everywhere else you can find it in a different city. So it's somehow the combination of everything. That's unique.
It's very beautiful. Permi, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
It's great to see your path and following whatever you do and realize that you're happy.
I am happy. I am, very much.
Thank you very much. Unsere Podcasts, unter anderem eben auch den jetzigen, diese Ausgabe mit Permi Jhooti, findet ihr auf allen Kanälen, wo es eben Podcasts gibt. This is Basel heißt er und wir hoffen, dass wir euch ein bisschen inspirieren konnten, auch mit Permi Jhooti, Basel von einer anderen Seite und eben auch über Menschen kennenzulernen. Das ist unser Ziel und wir freuen uns, wenn ihr das nächste Mal auch wieder dabei seid. This is Basel, der Podcast. Tschüss.
This is Basel, der Podcast. Wollt ihr mehr über die Themen in dieser Folge erfahren? Alle wichtigen Links findet ihr in den Shownotes und auf basel.com/podcast. Abonniert den Podcast jetzt in der App eurer Wahl und seid auch beim nächsten Mal wieder dabei.